Welcome, 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 one and all, to our international podcast, Below the Belt. How you all doing, folks? How you all doing out there? Good to see each and every one of you guys. You know by now we cannot do these programs without you at all. Good to see you, lovely, beautiful folks. Isabella Butters is already here. Candy Naleen, Inderjeet, Vashti, Magnot is here as well. Good to have you guys. And the day has been off to a great start. We are halfway through, according to the hours. We are halfway through. It's 29 degrees where we are. Generally, but they say the afternoon is 28 degrees. The afternoon Yep. So happy that you guys are here with us. And we would have it no other way. Tremendously happy that so many of you guys are here with us. Stay with us, folks. Stay with us. We got two fabulous, strong women who are going to be joining us. Women of valor, women of worth, women of strength. And I love them as my sisters. Tabitha Sarabo Halley is going to be joining us. And in addition to Tabitha, we're going to have joining us as well Natasha Singh Lewis, the one and only, the one and only. We're going to have them joining us in just a little bit. But how are you guys are doing out there? Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. We want to make sure that we have sorted that out. 28 degrees outside. It feels like 34. We trust that the weather is great where you are. Edward Gonzalez, who's joining us from the Bronx, and Cherry Baskin Greenwich, joining us from Barbados. Cherry Baskin Greenwich, joining us from Barbados, folks. I see Maxine Stewart is here as well, and Unika Light. Tessa Isaacs Gravesandi says she's watching us, she's listening. Marlon King and Onika Light. Hazelin King, the whole King clan here, the entire generation, lineage, and family are here. Good to have you guys. Good to have you. I see you, Hazelin King. I see you. Hazelin said a pleasant Wednesday afternoon to yours truly and everyone else. Good to see you. Good to have you guys. Again, we're going to be having joining us today the former Minister of the Public Service, Tabitha Tarabo Halley, is going to be joining us, and uh, our dear sister Natasha Singh Lewis. Guys, good to have you, and it's good to be joined by them shortly. Share the live stream and smash the emoji button as well. Siobhan McDonald, good to see you. Jem Isaacs, Francia Fraser, good to see you. Claire Capel. Good to have you folks right here. We'd have it no other way, guys. Lots of stuff happening, and we hope that you guys have been following along all that's been happening locally and internationally. Guys, in Barbados, they want Mia Motley to take a look again at what's happening in Guyana with the oil and gas issue, especially as it contains uh, insurance coverage. That's happening in Barbados. In Guyana, UG launched its Masters in Strategic Development Studies quite recently. In addition to that, Eason Bell has been Eason Ben has been stabbed to death in New York. The famed coach locally was stabbed to death in New York City. We're following that as well. We understand 38 young mothers graduated from the Ministry of Education's reintegration program. Respect and manners to that. Not because you have a little setback in life here and there, you're going to quit. No, no, no. We're not having that. We ain't not having that, folks. We're not having that. And in addition to that, folks, all the things that are happening, the guys are telling us that the oil resources to help strengthen Guyana's water system, that's going to be happening on that front, along with other things that are happening, guys. Nationally, so glad, so glad, so glad to have each and every one of you. Tony Hack is here, Orwin Don Cook and Andrew Cosbert. Samoa Williams is here as well. Good to see you, folks. Good to see you, folks. Would have it no other way. Would have it no other way. Good to have each and every one of you here with us. And I'm so excited. I'm so fired up and ready to have my sisters on with us. Pace and power. How are you guys doing? I really trust you guys are having a productive day. Really trust that you guys are having a wonderful day. Really trust so. I'm gonna have the guys in studio in just a second. In just a second, we're gonna have them here with us. We're gonna have them right here. In a minute or two, we're gonna have them right here. So bear with us, guys. Bear with us. Bear with us, folks. Bear with us. Making sure everything is clicking at the back end. Making sure everything is clicking at the back end. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Trust that we're midweek and you guys are having a fantastic start. Midweek, and we trust that you guys are having a fantastic, fantastic start. Good to have each and every one of you here with us. And let me just make sure that my notes set. So once the ladies are here and we're fired up and we're all ready to go, we have nothing that's going to be in our way. So, guys, good to see you. What are you guys having for lunch out there? You all know we always fast and we always want to know what you folks having for lunch. Do tell us, guys. Do tell us what's for lunch, what's for lunch, what's for lunch. And today we're talking about conduct of officials in public office. That's our discussion point for today. And I trust you guys have pulled up a chair. You're fired up, guys, and you are ready to go. And in 1 second, I'm going to have my notes and we're going to be good to go as well. Believe it or not, we're going to be good to go. Yep, almost set. Let me make sure we have our beautiful colleagues here. Bringing the folks into the virtual studio. And again, good to have you, Basil Clark, Dan Grimsandi, Christina Beckles. I see you there. Francia Fraser. I see each and everyone. I'm so grateful that you guys are here. So grateful that you folks are here. And we're gonna have our lovely lady in just a second. I think Tabitha is coming in. Give us a sec to bring in Tabitha properly. Tabitha, very good afternoon. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Duncan. Yes, I'm here. Are you hearing me clearly?
I am hearing you clearly. I hope the folks are hearing you clearly as well. Let me make sure I get Natasha in the studio as well. Just give us a sec and we're gonna get Natasha here. But a good afternoon to all the folks who are joining us. Shirley Crichton, Celine Fraser. I see Roxanne Aaron and Beatrice Selby. All the usual suspects, and we say suspects in a good way. All the usual folks are here from not only in Guyana, but around the world. Natasha Singh Lewis, a member of parliament, has joined us, and we're so happy to have both members of parliament, Tabitha Surabo Haley and Natasha Singh Lewis. Welcome, ladies. Welcome this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sherrod.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Calling it so strong. Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to you as well.
I hope you're hearing me properly.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Great.
Tabitha is with us as well.
Oh, hi,
Yes,
Tabitha.
yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to your viewer, Sharon.
And a good afternoon to all the folks who are joining us. See, Rebel says, pace and power. Yep, yep, that's what we got to do. Pace and power. Folks, if you're now joining the broadcast, you're in the right place. Welcome to our podcast, Below the Belt. Welcome, welcome, welcome to each and every one of you who vex, lose. And today we're discussing with our members of parliament conduct of officials in public office. And these ladies are well familiar with this document. A document was produced in 2017 by the David Granger-led administration. And let me make sure I get the title of the gazetted document properly. Get the title of it, and the title of it is uh, this order, rather this gazetted order was made under the Integrity Commission Act, and it deals, as it is said, with code of conduct of public officials. And as the ladies weigh in on how we should conduct ourselves in public lives, let me just read a couple of the pointers that are here in this order. It says, in talking about accountability, a person in public life shall be accountable to the public for his or her decisions and actions, and shall submit him or herself, to scrutiny and criticism. Under the heading of dignity, it says a person in public life shall, in the execution of his or her official functions, conduct himself or herself in a manner which, uh, let me see if I get that right. A person in the public life shall, in the execution of his or her function, conduct him or herself in a manner which engenders the respect of his or her peers in public office. And that's just two of the many sections in this document. Ladies, Tabitha, Natasha.
Hi, Sharon. I'm here. You read a lot. Particular question, but in what you would have highlighted just now, without a doubt, there was an indication by the last administration that they did something in writing to guide public officials as to how they should act and what should be expected of them, what they should not be doing. I'm not saying that that is the only code of conduct that is around in terms of persons who are in public office, but I think it was recognized that at the level of the ministers and members of parliament, that there needed to be something in writing to guide how they should operate in public office.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we could start. I think it's a really good guide for all of us who are in public office, to look at and to ensure that we are following until and unless somebody finds some things that may need to be changed or there are always improvements that can be made on any document. But I think it was a good first step for uh, in 2017, 2018. And I think a lot of persons in public office right now to take a serious look at it and see whether or not they're in line with those with those the things that you would have read just now and the entirety of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you.
I am very happy for this discussion here this evening. I know that a lot of work prior to 2017, a lot of work went into this document before it was approved in 2017. When we took office in 2015, remember we would have campaigned on honesty, decency, and integrity.
Correct.
And we thought that public officials should have a quick look in public office. You will see it address most of the guiding documents would address public servants, but nothing for the higher level performing officials. And so a lot of work went into this document. When we came into office in 2015, I can tell you that a cursory look at the public service and how public officials were operating, it was very lawless.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we thought of putting a system in place whereby our officials and thereafter other public officials can have something like Tabby said to guide them along. And so I am very happy for this conversation this afternoon. I want to go a little further. Um, you spoke of dignity.
Yeah.
A person in public life shall, in the execution of his or her official functions, conduct himself or herself in a manner which engenders respect of his or her peers and in the public.
Mm-hmm.
Shard, I want to catapult that. Um, I think it's a guiding principle, one of the 10 guiding principles in the code of conduct. I want to catapult that into a current situation that is taking place in our society today,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the lawlessness that we have seen coming out from political leaders,
Mm-hmm.
especially the ones in government right now. Um, Men in particular, they have displayed utter disrespect for women across the board, whether they are elected officials in parliament, in public office. We can go back to Region 9, Carl Singh, Alyssa Charlie, and of recent, the honorable gentleman in local government there.
Yeah.
What we have seen is utter disrespect for our women. And I'm happy that we have to refer to this as the dignity of a person. You would have said, and I think this particular principle speaks of engenders respect for his or her peers and the public at general. Sharon, I want to say to you that respect is a core value for any human being on this earth. So when we had to put that into writing, it says that there is much to be addressed, particularly to that core value.
Correct.
And if at this point in time, it has to be a principle that we have to teach, then we will have to do that because a lot is happening that is not acceptable in public life.
Correct. Well said. Well said. And there are aspects of public life as we engage it on a day-to-day basis that lots of us don't want to talk about at all. And there are some aspects that are absolutely, absolutely all of it as pertains to this code of conduct. And as Tabby says in her opening, I'm really happy that the David Granger led administration had the foresight to put together such a document, because if you talk to the wrong set of people, they'd give you the impression that the government didn't do nothing. We never built a road, we never fixed a drain, we never raised public servant salaries, we never did anything. And here is this code of conduct that became an order, had the weight of an order, this code of conduct. And the particular aspect we often don't want to talk about, and a lot of high officials, especially men, involved in this aspect of it, sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct. Hear what it says here in Article 8 of this order. It says, no person in public life shall pursue a course of conduct which amounts to offensive sexual comments, gestures, or physical contact, or such conduct of a criminal nature under the Sexual Offences Act. And secondly, in the course of the performance of his or her official duties, pursue a course of conduct by which he or she exploits his or her position or authority for sexual gratification. And too often, we hear stories from vulnerable young women, right, of this nature and quality. Too often, ladies.
Sharon, um, as you spoke just now, a couple of things came to mind. Um, I'm going to take the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
As a society, we have to determine the type of society that we want to have. type of leaders that we want, and how it is that we are going to ensure those who are in leadership positions uh, and do what is right by the society and create a culture that everybody can be comfortable. The people are who they are. You may end up in a position, and it's not until you're in that position that who you truly are becomes known to the public. It may have been known in other spheres, but once you get to that position, it's known, decisions have to be. And so I am of the view that anyone who recognizes that their colleague, that their friend who may hold public office has gone down a line that is uh, not respectable, thus it's far from dignified, that lacks integrity, then it's upon you, the onus is upon the individual recognizing it to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What has got me a bit upset so far is that the silence of everyone. It's like,
Yep.
let's see how long we can let this thing roll out, and hopefully it goes on to the carpet and we can continue to govern with these same individuals who have done things that are so egregious that requires them being, as far as I'm concerned, one, they should be losing their jobs. They should not be holding any public office anymore. They should go to some therapy and get some help. And if they need to be charged, be charged. I am frankly sort of at a place where society seems to be so silent on these matters. The colleagues of these persons who hold high offices seem to be very silent on these matters and are not even in their private spaces making an issue of it so much so that the person feel uncomfortable to continuing to do the certain things that they're doing. And that we're in a society where these things are partly okay, that we can degrade women, that we can do what it is that we believe we can do with the offices that we hold to gain certain favors from women, that we could stand up in parliament and tell a woman that she requires a dildo, and nothing comes of it
Yeah.
because apparently it's okay in our society to so do, and that our women folk in society are also very silent. All of the women who are always shouting at the top of their voices where other things are concerned seem to be very quiet in these instances. I think it's appalling, and I think it says that as a society we should require better of ourselves, demand more of ourselves, and demand more of those who are in office. Because if we allow these things to pass, I can tell you it can only and it will only get worse. It would not get better because those who are doing what they're doing will feel that it's okay and they have the right to and they will have the coverage of those who hold high authority in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very well said. You know, the question can be asked as Tabitha was enumerating what she just did. Why is it that in some instances some political parties seem to attract a certain quality of individual? And I'll tell you this. For instance, you have Akani Blair. This story is no secret, it's been in the public domain. Was part of the board at Guy Oil when the fuel scandal happened, the wheeling and dealing and the siphoning off of public funds, right? That matter has not never been thoroughly investigated. Akani Blair was removed from the board of Guy Oil. The chairman, the what you call it, the head of the company at that time resigned. Now I was shocked yesterday when I saw headlines that Akani Blair quits ANU and is now back with the PPP. You got in the PPP ranks, for instance, the likes of Dr. Barry Ramsuran, who is back in government, but who was fired as Minister of Health under the PPP administration pre 2015 because of his attitude towards women and a particular young woman who he threatened to strip and slap. Right? Why is it that this seems to be a harbor, and Mr. Jagdu, the Vice President, his own issues with the treatment of his former wife is no secret in this country. Why this party seem to harbor a certain kind of character? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if I can answer why it is that the party harbors those sort of individuals. You know, birds of a feather flock together. My issue is the rest of society and whether or not the rest of the society will condone such action and be okay with political parties that have that are skewed in that regard to continue to be in office. You see? So I cannot dictate and I can't say why people behave how they behave. My only thing is how do we as a society respond when we recognize the behavior, right? And that is my concern. That is my worry because people are who they are. They may be able to change with help and assistance and guidance, but our role as society is when you recognize certain behaviors, certain attributes of certain organizations or certain people. How do we respond in such a manner that helps them to understand that the society will not accept this sort of behavior, that we will not condone it, and that if it is that this is where you want to go, then you need to be on the side and not in leadership positions because that is not what we are. That is not what we're looking for in leaders of the country for the country.
Yep. That sounds fair. Natasha?
Sharad, the question is, are we creating an environment? And I want to build on what Tabby just said.
Mhm.
Are we creating an environment? Are we conscious of the environment that we are creating for our young people who will go before us in continuing a society that ought to be better in an oil producing nation when we are not only Guyanese living in Guyana, but we have an influx of foreigners for right reasons and some not so right reasons. What kind of society are we creating when we are silent? And the question is, somebody just text me to say they believe that some sections that usually under the APNU AFC time, they had a voice and they spoke out against certain behavior. They have lost their time because they believe that they are being bought. And that's another issue
Wow.
that we need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Are we is our loyalty, our integrity, our dignity, is it for sale? As our society now evolve in an oil producing nation,
That
are
Yep.
we selling those things now? Those virtues, those values, are we up for sale at this point in time? It speaks to what Tabitha is saying. What society are we willing to build, to contribute to, so that our young people can benefit after oil would have, come and go. When there is no oil and we have to rely on other things, what do we do at that point? What society are we going to be able to live in at that point in time?
That's a fantastic point. It's a fantastic point. And it seems that we have lost our moral compass because even though some issues and some infractions might not even be a criminal wrong, clearly, there is a moral wrong in lots of instances. But you see this reluctance on the part of the current regime, especially to rein in some what could only be rogue elements. Because I would hate to believe the party subscribes to some of the foolishness you've seen happening, and you ladies have articulated them well. Tabitha had her own experience with a member of the National Assembly on the other side. And Natasha, you've had your own experience quite recently as well. It's a whole set of madness happening in the National Assembly, and it boggles the mind that you have who's supposed to be some intelligent people sitting on the other side who is supposed to know better. And I'm actually going through my notes here. I had a notation from, I think it was GKH Lal, who had brought up when the whole dildo thing happened in the National Assembly. Thanks, compliments of Mr. Nigel Darlal, had made some comments saying that he was very disappointed, for instance, in this is GKH Lal, very disappointed in um, Vindhya Prasad, based on the position she holds not only in government but in the wider society. As a respected religious person, and the fact that you had people sitting there who said nothing, who never voiced any concern, when lots of disparaging remarks, for instance, were made against women in the National Assembly, that they could sit down and allow their colleague to proceed in such a manner. Really and truly, a lot of people seem to have lost their voices. Not
You
so?
have
Yeah.
it's shameful, but you have Vindhya Prasad and we have the Honorable Bishop Edgel, who sits there with his cross on his heart and condones so much in the National Assembly and in as part of the People's Progressive Party. Um, I know sometimes it may appear as if I am trying to elude the topic, but I am not, because don't have any. I don't believe that PPP has the ability to write itself.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think they are who they are, that the persons who were there were chosen because they would condone certain things. I think that the 23 years before 2015 that we had under the PPP show that they really did not care about morals, about standings, about creating a particular culture where everybody could feel included, where people could feel that, that we're going in the right direction. And so I really don't have faith in the PPP to be able to write themselves. A write as in RIGHT. I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
has to come from a society who recognizes that this is not where we want to go, that we have had enough of this, and puts a stop in it now, because if we do not, it will only continue to descend. Every time we think we reach a new low, we will find a newer low if we remain silent. And that is where I'm at this particular point. I know everybody's afraid. A lot of people are afraid because they think that they may be discriminated against, that they may be victimized if they come out and speak. And so, but if it is we do nothing, then what we are basically saying is that okay, let us continue to dig ourselves deeper in this hole, and then we hand over to the next generation a society that is even more lawless, has no idea what integrity means, has no idea what it means to be respectable and to hold high office, what is required of you. And so we just keep digging holes for ourselves, and we have to decide as a society whether this is what we will allow and accept continue. If not, then we need to start applying the pressure necessary so that people understand, because all they understand is money and votes and numbers. They don't understand morals and those things don't really mean anything to them. When they recognize that their supporters are against something, they find some way to deal with it. When they recognize that the society is against them, they find some way of trying to deal with it. And that is what we need to recognize, not to expect them to right their own wrongs, but recognize that they wouldn't. And as a society, push them so that they understand that we will not accept nonsense from them any further.
Yeah, I really think that Natasha would agree with that as well. And I think we saw some of that quite recently at this election for the in Bartica, the boat service there.
Mhm.
The country's attention was called to the Bell brothers from Bartica, supporters of the PPP, who had a big fight by the Senate. And apparently, members of the boat association in Bartica have said this is not the kind of conduct we will accept, and voted both of them out in a recent election.
Indeed. And
Exactly.
Chad, one issue that is a little bit, sorry, Tabby, go.
No, 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 you go ahead, Natasha.
Chad, one other issue that in that scenario that is quite recent, as Tabby says, only when something, when their supporters speak against it, we attempt to do something. But let me say to you that their supporters, I have seen them on social media coming out very articulate to speak on the issue that is recent involving the Minister of Local Government, who was on official duty in the US and sought to solicit a young lady. And all of the information is in public domain. Those allegations are in the public and speaks volumes to the minister.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that one of the mother of a victim would have been told that this matter has been sent to the president for his action or advice. I don't know what he's going to do, but I can tell you that the family of several other victims would have come forward. Most of them coming very strange. This is my analysis. Very strange. It's coming from the Muslim community. A lot of the victims who are now coming forward to say what this young lady faced in New York is nothing strange because they would have endured similar. And it's in the realm of sexual misconduct in public office. And it is heartrending to know that a minister of government can call the family of a victim to say that, well, we've sent it to the president. Let's wait and see what will happen. There ought to be steps to be taken immediately.
Yep.
Fella is an officer of the highest order. He sits in public office. He sits in the National Assembly. What you have to wait on the president to do? There's an institution. There are laws governing those things. Why are we seeing 10 other victims coming forward, posting their stories publicly on Facebook? And you don't see the cybercrime unit, no way, doing an investigation. You don't see the Women and Gender Commission making a statement. And you don't see the Minister of Human Services and Social Security making a statement. You don't see any statement in relation to this matter. And as Tabitha is saying, the silence is deafening from our society. Is this what we are going to continue to condone, to accept?
It's unacceptable.
It is him today, but could we understand that this is an acceptable behavior in over there in that party? When it begins to get into the realm of other families closer to them, do you think that they will say something about it then?
Very well. Very well. And the longer the PPP takes to really take a firm stand on such issues, the more emboldened some of these perpetrators are becoming. I don't know if you have noticed that the more emboldened, right? It used to be that people would be able to say, as part of the initial step back, let a thorough investigation be done, and let the chips fall where they may. No, no, no. You're going to see people anchoring down and digging in their heels. As a matter of fact, I remember in both Tabitha's situation with fellow member of Parliament Kwame McCoy, and also recently with Darmla, I saw, as was mentioned earlier, no less person than a bishop saying that nothing like that ever happened, but yet Mr. Darmla, quote unquote, apologized, quote unquote. But the bishop was first out there on the airwaves, on the networks, right, saying that never happened. It never happened. Quite strange. So don't be surprised if you see that kind of PR being done. They say, no, 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 no. I vouch for this individual, and he is a church boy, right? You might even see them quoting scriptures too, and other religious texts, right, to justify the behavior, folks. Ladies,
Share that you asked a question earlier about what things certain people seem to do so that organization. And I was just reminded that a couple years ago,
mhm,
a former minister of housing had certain applications around him as well. And so he kind of, I could understand how when you're in that sort of dynamic and you are maybe part of the problem, how do you find fault other colleagues who are doing the same thing that you either used to do or so? So I would like to suggest to our listeners that if it is that we understand where we are as a society, that everyone who is hearing write a letter in the newspaper. We need to flood the newspaper for the next week, requesting that Ms. Darmalal be fired from office and let an investigation had as to these allegations. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be 5 paragraphs long. It's just a recognition that something is happening. Allegations are being made against this particular person. He's a public official. There are things are on Facebook, on social media that suggest that some of what is being alleged is there's some amount of accuracy to it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
require he take step back and an investigation, a formal investigation happen to see whether or not it is accurate and let the chips fall where they may. I'm requesting that everybody that is listening and that will listen do that over the next week, and let us flood all of the newspapers with our concern and the fact that there seems to be um, a in slothfulness in how it is that it's being handled, and we require better. Um, and we, of course, haven't even gone on to the lawyer and his allegations, which is not a public official.
Yep.
He's not
Yep.
public in the sense of being a minister of government, but as a lawyer, you're seen and held in a certain
As a public
esteem.
figure. Yep.
So something is, you're expected to behave in a certain manner. But we have probably have to have another show to deal with that particular issue. But I would like to beg everyone to just write, even if it's 1 paragraph, so that people understand that it's not something that we would let go of, and it's not something that we would be swept under the rug, and it's something that we're paying keen attention to and to see how it is handled.
Correct. Correct. Correct on all points, Tabitha. Correct on all points. I just want to know how long will we be here? How long will we be here? I think Tabitha in an earlier response, I said it is on when the folks, when the people, we the people, says we've had enough.
Yeah.
Because how much longer? How much more do we need to see to say breaks up? Let's take a step back and deal with this issue that we have. And where are the big people in this society, in the PUP? Where are the moral compasses? Maybe they have all gone. Maybe they have all gone. And as we were discussing in an earlier show, leadership in this sense don't conceal, it reveals and amplifies. And what we're seeing now is exactly who people are. Who people are. And then when if you clothe immorality in state power, it's just immorality in office.
Yeah.
That is all. And so we got to take these matters very, very seriously. How can we accept that a man, as I said in the other program, is a specialist in the hinterland, right? He got a lot of concerns and interests all over. When we talk about business, that seems to be something that is accepted and known. And how can one party house such a whole bunch of misfits? It's mind-boggling, and everybody on that side bang their head in the sand like this thing ain't happening. Like we ain't reading, we ain't seeing. The same stuff that's flying around WhatsApp and on Facebook and all over. They anything going into their inbox. Nobody is saying, Priya, look what is happening here. Vindhya, have you seen this? Have you heard this? Have you seen this video? Have you heard this voice note? Have you seen this picture? Have you
Mhm.
seen these screenshots? Well, they living in a bubble, right? But again, I want to make the point. I would love if you ladies respond. If the very folks at the top compromise, right? If the very folks at the top compromise, what else is going to happen? You move about this society and look, if you're on the ground, you hear a lot of credible stuff. Oh, this is the big man, this is the big man girl, right? She's a side chick. This is number two. This is number three. What kind of society we living in? You see why we've lost our moral compass? You see why you could have an order come down that gas price must go down and then businessmen say flap, y'all.
Mm.
Right? This is the society that we're building. And it's only gonna get worse, if we don't arrest it. Now. It's only gonna get worse. Ladies.
Sure, the question is, what what do we do, and whose responsibility is it? I hear my colleague Tabitha is saying she's calling on every person that is listening and will listen to this program to write a letter. And that is a fantastic recommendation. Write a letter so that this gets out into mainstream media, because I believe one or two persons are writing on social media. My thing is, social media has its place in society now. Let's utilize it. Let's utilize it. Let's see who will be charged for cybercrime. But
Correct.
make your call known.
Correct.
Utilize the medium that you have in the palm of your hand. Everyone is an activist as long as you have the internet and you have a phone in your hand. You are an
Correct.
activist.
Correct.
You're an advocate for change. Do that. Individually, we can do that. Um, there is much to be said about civil society in Guyana at this point in time. It is mind boggling why everyone is so silent.
Uh-huh.
Politically, we can do so much in an opposition. But I believe if we join forces together, individually, collectively, we can do something. We can come out and say, this is wrong. By our standards in Guyana, this is morally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the church?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the church? Where are the imams?
Mm-hmm.
Several victims from the Muslim society would have come forward. Where are they? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you want to
Pretending we're
know,
not seeing this so that
how
we
are we?
don't lose favor, and we don't lose um the little ravelings and the little things that we get from being associated, uh, 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 the little things we get from having a proximity to power. Right? So you pretend you don't really see it, you don't really hear it. Incoming me inbox, I ain't seen it on Facebook. You pretend that nothing is happening, and you just go about your merry way, right? And then we're
Mhm.
going to go on and you're going to preach a sermon that has no relevance to the time we live in. And people say, y'all don't see what happening out there. Hmm? You all don't see what happening out there. We seem to have lost our moral compass. And I would dare say, as MP Natasha Singh Lewis mentioned, that they got certain principles that cuts across all religions, all of them. And so that when each of us see something happening, almost instinctively, right? This is wrong. And that's morality there. That innate thing to know right from wrong, just on the face of it, the experience is, right? Why don't you keep your hand in heat? Instinctively, this thing hurts. You pull away your hand. When you see certain, it's the same reaction you have, the same instinctive reaction. This ain't right. This ain't right. And as a society, we got a long way to go. But I embrace what Tabitha says. We all have to do our part. Write those letters. They don't have to be a long epistle. Write them, publish the text on social media as well. Publish it on Facebook, just in case they want to publish your letters. Because in some newspapers, they won't publish it. Put it on social media, voice your concerns, put it on Twitter, right? Some of you, as Natasha says, right? You are an advocate. You are your own reporter. Once you got the phone in the palm of your hand, you got the internet, go live. You don't got to come on our show. Go live right to you then. Let your voice be heard. The only thing history has proven, this government understands is public pressure, right? Public pressure. That's what they understand. And that's what we have to come to. That's what we have to come to. Sad to say, public pressure. So I endorse both what Tabitha says and what Natasha has said. Ladies,
Sharad, as I take my leave, I
yes.
want to say that there is a place for education as we go along. We have a very vulnerable population at this point in time. The young people, as they go through life and they are changing of their own, they adapt easily to whatever the trend is. This is a new trend of disrespect that we are condoning in our society. I want to say to all of the persons listening, particularly the young people listening to us today, it is not okay to be disrespectful to anybody. It is not okay to hold office and not be accountable for your actions. You have a duty to perform it with some level of dignity or the highest level of dignity. Take responsibility for what would have come your way. That is the opportunity to serve the people of Guyana in the highest office of this country. And I say to our viewers, it is not okay what is happening in our society. Let us examine for ourselves and not be carried away by a particular narrative that is justifying a wrong. Let us not be carried away by that. It is okay for you to listen, read both sides, read all the sides, reflect on it, and then make your own decision based on your own values, because we have
Yeah. 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 Folks, Tabitha, as we
and
wrap up.
those dictate what our moral society will be. And so I say to everyone, we have a voice and let's be heard.
Let's be heard. Let's be heard. Let's be heard. Tabitha, as we wrap up.
I'm not sure how to come after Natasha. I think she said everything I wanted to say.
Yes,
Um,
she did.
I would just I would just add a couple of things, and she is so right. In we're living in a day and age where truth is subjective, where fact is subjective, where it depends on who you want to listen to. You get one version of it and not the reality of the situation. And so persons have been um, they've been nurtured in an environment where you hear what you want and you accept what you want, and you don't necessarily have to deal with the reality of a situation. So when we're in that particular environment, everything sort of becomes gray. And then trying to figure out black and white, trying to figure out truth and false, trying to figure out right and wrong becomes a bit more blurry. And so we have to, as a society, recognize that this sort of environment does not bode well for us in the future and even currently. And we have to take a stand on truth, take a stand on what is just, take a stand on what is right. And don't let it be subjective because it helps your interest or helps your agenda. Because once we start going down that road, it's a very slippery slope. So even as we deal with this particular individual and in public office, it has to be at all levels of society. What you're doing as just and right and truth at your particular level in your particular sphere in whatever area it is that you may have some amount of prominence, some amount of if you're a lead in that particular area, that you also are doing what is right, what is just, what is honest, what is true. And so that we try to combat this whole sense that everything is subjective and we can do as we like because it feels right to us. That is a whole other discussion and conversation. But I would like to urge us to please speak out on this issue, even if you have to do it in a sense and anonymously, so that you don't, if you're going to be victimized or so, that doesn't happen. But we cannot stay silent, because once we stay silent, we allow it to continue. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Tabitha Sarabo Halley, Member of Parliament and Member of Parliament, Natasha Singh Lewis, I want to thank you both for being part of the podcast today. Definitely, we have benefited from your insights. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Sherrod.
Have a great
Thanks,
afternoon.
Gerard.
That being said, folks, that being said, the women's arm of the Alliance for Change has just put out a statement. The women's arm of the Alliance for Change, Women for Change, has just put out a statement, and it's an open letter to President Ali, and it is asking for the removal of Nigel Jarmala. An open letter. I want to go through that letter for you. It says, "Dear Excellency, Women for Change, WFC, the women's arm of the Alliance for Change, greets you cordially and in the spirit of cooperation to address a matter which we are sure you have found troubling, vexatious, and embarrassing. We speak of the online post that has gone viral, where a senior member of your cabinet is accused of preying on an overseas based young Guyanese woman. The author of the post has made some damning allegations against Minister Nigel Darmalal. It paints the picture of the minister being a vile, apologies, it paints a picture of the minister being a vile and repulsive womanizer whose behavior must be condemned by any and all right thinking individuals. It is most certainly repugnant for a minister of any government to use their position to prey on women as described in the post. And WFC finds it most disgusting, as we are sure you do, that any person holding public office would behave in such a manner. To say it is conduct to say it is conduct unbecoming would be to put it mildly. It is repulsive, repugnant, disgusting, shameful, and most undignified and dishonorable. When the accusations against Minister Darmlal are taken into consideration with his dildo comment in the National Assembly and Facebook post in December 2021 addressing two of our eminent female judges, his general approach indicates contempt for women. This is totally unacceptable for a minister. WFC calls on you to launch a full and impartial investigation into the conduct of Nigel Darmlal, one which would hear from women who he would have offended, to make the findings public, and in the meantime remove Darmlal from holding public office and representing the women and people of Guyana. The statement concludes by stating, yeah, the statement concludes from the post, we understand that the matter has been brought to the attention of female ministers of government who has assured the mother that it will be brought to your attention. We humbly remind you of your duty as president of our great nation to protect the interest and well-being of all citizens, those at home and abroad, and to highlight the influence of public officials and to highlight the influence that public officials have over the next generation of leaders. The women of Guyana are looking at you for exemplary leadership, both directly and through your officials. God bless Guyana and long live the indomitable spirit of the Guyanese people. Signed, Women for Change. Signed, Women for Change. Folks, there it is. There it is. That letter, open letter to the president, just published by the Alliance for Change, the women's arm, the Women for Change, asking for the removal of Nigel Darmlal from office and for a full investigation to be done and the findings made public. There you have it, folks. There you have it. Judy Wilson, I see you there. Carol Jacobs, I see you there. That's what's trending. Good to see you. Shirley Crichton, we see you there as well. Glensis Mingo Byrne, we see you there. Good to have each and every one of you here with us, folks. These are the issues we have to contend with. I want to thank Tabitha Sarabo Halley and Natasha Singh Lewis, both members of parliament, for coming by and again guiding our discussion. These are very, very strong issues, very, very sensitive issues, and action has to be taken. Action must be taken, folks. And this is what it is. This is what it is. We love having you guys here. That's our time for today. We invite each and every one of you to come back and to partner with us. We got to do more stuff like this, folks. More the programs that matter, so that voices are amplified. We are so happy that you guys are here. We're so happy for those of you who partner with us, that help us to do these programs, guys. And we invite you who haven't done so to do the same, or if you have partnered with us in the past, to come back and do so. We are available via many, many platforms for your convenience. We are available via Cash App, via WhatsApp. We're available via Zelle, via PayPal, MMG, MoneyGram, Western Union, guys. Come on board, partner with us, help us to meet our obligations. Folks, get to the finish line for March, and then we got to start all over again. Folks, for April. April is almost upon us. Good to have you guys. That's our program. Do what you got to do out there, folks. Make your voices heard. As our female MPs, again, Tabitha and Natasha says, make your voices heard. Write to the newspapers. Put your posts up on Facebook. Boots on the ground. Boots on social media. Bring back and on. Let your voice be heard. Wrong is wrong, folks. Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. And this what is happening here is totally wrong. Good to have each and every one of you. Hazelyn King, good to see you. Marilyn Thomas, good to see you. Carol Jacobs, good to see you. Karen Clark, good to see you. Sherland the Beresford, good to see each and every one of you, folks. We're going to see you guys right back here this evening at 8 in the ring, folks. Thanks for joining our international podcast. Below the belt, who vex lose. That's our time. Stay safe, folks. Be gentle with yourselves. Go ahead and be great, guys. Go ahead and be great. That's our time. That's our time.